Living a Healthy Life with your hosts, Ipek and Craig. The show which explores simple things we can do to feel better today than we did yesterday.
Bringing you the most up-to-date information is our mission. Each week, we'll explore different ways to make today the best day of your life.
With me as always is my beautiful bride, Ipek, and my name is Craig. It's all happening this week on Living a Healthy Life. Hello again. Oh, so good to be back.
It's very nice to be back in the studio and with our audience once again.
Welcome to another episode of Living a Healthy Life. As always, my name is Craig, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Ipek.
That's me. Hi, everyone.
Oh, today is another beautiful day. We are going to share with you so many great things. What are we talking about today, Ipek?
Today, we're going to share with you guys our experience at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power seminar that we attended over a year ago.
So today's all about personal development. We are kind of picking up from last week's show. We had the Life Changes show and their entire crew of life coaches, Filippo and Mark and Dorothy on the show. And they've kind of inspired us to jump a little bit further down this little rabbit hole of personal development and really what that's all about. Before we jump into that, I want to remind everybody to check out our Facebook page. If you haven't already given us a like and shared some of our content, please take a moment to do so. We love hearing from you and connecting with you. We love when you guys like and love and share our stuff. It warms our hearts to know we are touching you and those around you. So please take a moment to check out our Facebook page. That page again is facebook.com/livingahealthylife.today. You can also find us on the web at www.livingahealthylife.today. And that'll point you back to our Facebook page as well. On it, you'll find articles, you'll find links to people that we talk about. You might even find somebody guest blogging or guest commenting or guest posting. There's some interesting stuff on there. We're constantly trying to evolve ourselves. We're open to suggestion and we love hearing from you. So thank you very much.
As Craig mentioned, we have been on a personal mission for several years now of personal development and growth. It's so important to consistently grow. We're always changing. And you know, I believe if we're not growing, then we're dying.
So important. We're going to talk a lot about that personal development, the personal growth side of things. But first, you know, why this is so important to Ipek and I is we take our years of grade school, right, where we're constantly feeding our brains. And then we get into the working world. And you might learn a craft, you might learn a trade, and then you're in that craft and that trade. And at some point you cap out, all right? At some point you've learned what you can learn. And there's frustration that might come up from that. So for Ipek and I, even though we're constantly evolving ourselves on the business side, we're also constantly evolving ourselves on the personal side. And this is a constant quest for us. I would say at least a couple days a month, we're in some type of workshop, listening to somebody speak, speaking or educating ourselves, attending a webinar, getting involved in a forum or a group online with engaging conversation, reading articles. I mean, there are so many different things that you can do to engage and continue learning, especially today. If you don't have access to the internet, I'm not sure how you're listening to this show. However, if you're listening it to somewhere else and you don't have access to the internet, libraries still exist. Cities still invest infrastructure in creating content that is shareable and accessible to the public.
And beautiful libraries these days. I recently stepped into one in Orange County near my parents' house, and I actually needed to kind of get situated with all the technology that was around. And, you know, the time that I used to go to libraries when I was in high school, it was totally different.
You can access the internet.
That's true.
Right, in these public libraries. So you can listen to our show, Living a Healthy Life, at the library.
And I like to stress something here. Find somebody that is that you can model yourself after. Somebody that is already doing great action, taking massive action, and growing and following in their footsteps. Success leads breadcrumbs along the road
that you can follow. So tapping into that and following somebody, listening to somebody. I mean,
perhaps podcasts. There's so many out there.
They're wonderful podcasts, but even if you just listen to ours, we're going to give you plenty of opportunity to tap into a couple great resources, not just today, but in a couple of future episodes as well. So what we wanted to talk about today was a little bit of our personal development and our quest. And one of, I think, the biggest impacts on our lives personally, individually, is a man by the name of Tony Robbins. Oof. This man, I am smitten with this man. We wanted to share a little bit about the experience that we had at Unleash the Power last year. Tony Robbins actually came to my high school. I'm going to tell you that story. We're going to tell you a little bit more when we come back after this.
HealingOils.love is the place for doTERRA certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils.
Essential oils have been used throughout history in many cultures for their medicinal and therapeutic benefits. Learn about how you can use essential oils every day to maintain a healthy lifestyle and keep your family operating at its highest potential.
Join our communities on Facebook and Instagram at HealingOils.love for tips and recommendations on how you can begin using doTERRA essential oils today.
And we're back.
We're back.
Hello, everybody. So, we're talking today about personal development. A little bit of professional development, too, I think, is in there.
Yeah.
And we're talking about our experience with Tony Robbins and how important it's been for us to be on a personal development track that keeps us growing, that keeps us learning, that keeps us engaged. This is something that's really been monumental for both of us individually.
Yeah.
And for our relationship as well, right?
Yeah.
So excited to be able to walk this path with you, to be able to have this radio show, which was inspired from our experiences at Tony Robbins.
Certainly.
And to build this life together. It's really wonderful.
I think that in a relationship, it's so important to grow individually, which allows us to grow together. And when I look back at our relationship and just my life overall, we've all been through a lot. And every experience, whether in the moment it was a positive one or possibly a negative one, there was a lesson that I learned from it. And I have the tools now to look back and admit that to myself. And it's a wonderful journey that we are continuing every single day. And it's amazing.
Boom. Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power. So right before the break, I started to share a story. I've known Tony Robbins. I think a lot of us, even listening to this radio show, I don't think there's a person on this world that has a television that doesn't know who Tony Robbins is, because I think the statistic is something like every 30 seconds around the world, he was on the television somewhere, which is absolutely mind-boggling.
Right.
So he's definitely covered the world with his tapes and with his books and in helping and supporting people to bring their best person forward, bring their best self forward. We enjoyed, well, let me backtrack a second. Tony Robbins actually came to my high school. I was blessed and lucky enough to have all of the business owners in my neighborhood. I was fortunate enough for them to bring him to my high school. So juniors and seniors, my senior year of high school, this is going back almost 20 years, I'm dating myself. I had a Tony Robbins experience. And I remember the energy it gave me. I remember the perspective it gave me vaguely, right? Because it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I do remember it having a big impact on me in those first few years of college and high school. Fast forward, Tony's reintroduced back into my life. I had a ticket gifted to me to go to Unleash the Power back in October of 15, the night before the event. And I went, and it was cataclysmic. It was amazing, the impact that it had on my life. And Ipek saw a change in me, the energy, the words, the language I used, my physical presence. And I said, Ipek, you and I have to do this together. And what did we do? We registered for Tony Robbins Unleash the Power in West Palm Beach.
That's right. Only 5 months later.
On your birthday.
On my birthday.
And
that was a special birthday.
And we had the experience together.
Yes.
And there are so many amazing things that happens in an Unleash the Power weekend. And we're not going to get into those specifics because we want you to have that same experience. Mm-hmm. If you're currently registered to be in LA, we're going to talk about that. But I think before we get into the specifics of maybe some of our major takeaways, I'd love just to talk before, during, and after, right? How did we feel before? Who were we before Tony Unleash the Power? Who were we during Unleash the Power? And what was it like after? And I thought that would be a nice recap for you guys to understand and for us to draw some parallels, right? As we've said before, we're not that different from you. Whoever you are, wherever you are, however you're listening to us, humans are humans. And we're all having that same human experience. And when you think the going is as tough as it's going to get, there's probably somebody that has it tougher, unfortunately. Or there's probably somebody, more realistically, that's walked your path and that has been there already. And we can learn from them. And you can learn from that experience if you know where to find it. And I think personal development is a lot about understanding and learning from those that have walked the path before you. Finding and seeking out people that have similar circumstances that you do and learning from them and reading what they're writing and understanding what their experience was like so that you may make the same mistakes they did or make different mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? And one up the experience for a better outcome.
Mistakes are good.
Absolutely.
They're necessary. They're certainly a part of life for us to learn.
And my words were very specific there, right?
That's
Make
right.
the same mistakes they did so you can learn the same lessons they did.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't make some of those mistakes and you can sidestep some of those issues and upgrade your experience. So let's start with kind of what life was like before Unleash the Power. I know we don't want to think about this stuff, but what was it like before?
Well, to sum it up, I would say I didn't know that I had so many tools in my toolbox. And first of all, not knowing that they were there, and second of all, knowing the ones that were there, not being able to use them to their full potential. So the biggest thing that I took away from Tony Robbins' experience was learning to access what I have inside, allowing me to go inward and giving me so much perspective on my life, on my relationships, and my future.
So let me tackle that one. Before Tony Robbins, right? So that's a little bit of during and a little bit after.
I got a little ahead of the game there.
We all are having this life experience, right? And before Tony Robbins, what I think we lacked, right? What we gained, right? It's all tied together.
Yeah.
Before Tony Robbins, you come up against obstacles, come up against roadblocks. You come up against life. Stress comes from so many different places. And when you're faced with adversity, those are those tools that you were just talking about,
That's
right? So when you're faced with that adversity, you can be challenged and rise up and above and conquer. And many of us do that in many situations every day. However, every now and again, there's that one challenge that we come across, or sometimes it's a daily challenge. Sometimes it's the sheer amount that we need to take care of every day. Yeah. Life is stressful. That's okay. That stress makes us stronger. Overcoming that and empowering yourself, giving yourself those tools, right? Yeah. So we all experience this little game we call life, and we all have challenges. And one of the biggest takeaways for us during the experience, right? During the experience, I want you guys to know that going to a Tony Robbins weekend is not about sitting in a chair taking notes.
Not at all.
It is one of the most engaging, high tempo, high energy environments you're ever going to walk into. The energy in that room to have 5,000 to 10,000 people engaged in one another, engaged in growth and learning and supporting one another. It is one of the most powerful. It's so palpable. We're going to tell you about this in a little bit. Ipek and I are actually going back to Unleash the Power. We're going to crew, which means we're volunteering.
So excited.
So that we can tap back into that energy and serve at the same time. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. So during a Tony Robbins experience, you are tapping into an energy that is unlike anything you've probably experienced before. I've experienced a lot. Ipek's experienced a lot.
Certainly.
The energy in that room is palpable, and it feeds your soul for almost 12 hours a day, more than 12 hours a day. In fact, Saturday's a 14-hour day.
Yeah.
And don't be scared, because you feel fantastic. There's nothing that you need over the course of that day that you don't get in that room. And Tony is like a machine. That guy, he goes and goes and goes. And he wants to make sure that you get so much value for the investment that you make in going there. I'm here to tell you that it's well worth it. And I'm here to tell you that you tap into an energy that is unlike anything you've ever experienced before, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's been life-changing for us, and coming out of it, I feel more prepared to take on the daily stress of our lives, and understanding the power of our emotions and not letting our emotions get the best of us and rule us, and not make any decisions just based solely from an emotional state. Because in this state, we are not as clear and as focused as we are. The true inner guiding light inside us.
I think you're nailing it, right? So what do we get after Tony Robbins? Oof. And generally speaking, right, we don't want to get into specifics. We want you guys all to have your experience. But generally speaking, we have a better, Ipek and I, having experienced Unleash the Power, have a better understanding of why we made the decisions that we made that led us here, and why we will make the decisions we're going to make to lead us to wherever it is our final destination is.
Yeah.
And recognizing the state of mind we're in when we're making those decisions, and controlling that state of mind, so that our emotions are no longer driving us, but we are driving our emotions.
That's right.
And you're making decisions from a totally different place.
That's right. And one more thing I want to add to that is the impact it's had on our relationship has been, it's indescribable. I find myself in situations where I do feel an emotion coming up in our conversations or whatnot. I've grown to have more patience and just gotten...
Which is necessary when living with me.
Of course. In any relationship, whether it's with your family, your children, your friends, your partner. And it's giving you that perspective that you're not the only person in the room. You're not the only perspective, the only reality. There's another person. And to understand from their point of view, what could they have been experiencing today that led to this moment? Understanding their why and where they came from. It's so important. And it just brings a nice, subtle, calm energy to my soul, and just gives me that comfort and patience.
Well, the value in going through a weekend like this, and not just Unleash the Power, but any personal development weekend with your partner, with your lover, with your spouse, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or even if it's a close friend, is that not only do you learn a lot about yourself, but you learn just as much about them. As they're learning about themselves, they're sharing that with you, and true breakthroughs start to happen. So understanding why we make the decisions that we made, and making a decision from a place of power, is very, very important. And it's something that you go through on a regular basis, actually, and Unleash the Power. It's something that's really, you really understand it from all sides. there are two more things that we wanted to share about this particular weekend. 6 human needs, right? We've learned that we all have these basic human needs that we need fulfilled, and they're different for everybody as far as what priority. However, all of us as human beings have these 6 human needs that we need to fulfill, and we're just going to go over them because we want you to tap into Unleash the Power. We want Tony to guide you and show you what these are all about. But let's just give them to him.
Sure. So they're broken into 2 categories, the 4 primal needs and then the 2 spiritual needs. Our primal needs include certainty, uncertainty and variety, significance, and love and connection.
Certainty, uncertainty, connection, love,
significance.
And significance. They're all really powerful. And the 2 spiritual needs that we have are to contribute and to grow. Right? So we're talking about personal development. We're talking about that growth. We mentioned, and we're going to mention in a couple minutes, that we're going to serve as crew.
That's right.
Right? We do something called First Saturdays here. Shout out to Halcyon and the San Diego crew. We do First Saturdays where we give back and we support the homeless here in town.
That's right. And I was actually at this past Saturday, I was at their 7-year anniversary. And John Halcyon is a dear friend of ours, and we will have him as a guest on an upcoming episode.
Amazing. So giving back, and giving back doesn't necessarily need to be something in the public eye, right? Giving back can be helping and supporting your friends, your family, those around you, with no question of anything in return. That's what it means to truly serve. And you can serve those around you. You can serve those beyond. I thought that was something that's really worth mentioning.
Certainly. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something physical, a physical something material that you give back to somebody, that you give to whoever. It can be a smile. It can be a hug. It can be your time, your energy, even just a conversation. It's so powerful to have that human connection with each other that that's fulfills another one of our needs, actually. It's amazing.
And as you start to look at these different needs and understand them better, you'll start to see that one action or one activity can impact and fulfill several different needs. And that's where you truly begin to get fulfilled. Very, very powerful stuff. So 6 human needs, very important. The thing that we learned at Tony Robbins. The second thing that we thought was really kind of major and a major takeaway is an entire conversation around fear.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful. And what we want you to know is that we all have fear. We are all fearful of different things. It's part of our brain chemistry.
Yeah.
It's part of this fight or flight response that we've had since saber-toothed tigers were roaming the world and we were concerned about living our lives.
Safety.
And it's something that gives us power. This fight or flight gives us power and energy to get away from those that are hurting us. But in today's world, when we don't have those threats
as much,
those fight or flight tendencies and instincts are still within us. They haven't evolved away from us, and they appear as stress, they appear as anxiety, they appear as fear. And at Unleash the Power, you talk a lot about those fears, and it makes sense when he starts talking about the different types of fear that we all have and getting back to its root and really connecting all of us. Again, going back to that 6 human needs of connection and bringing us together. Very, very important. But if you're fearful of something, just know that we all have fear. And there's a couple different types of fear that we have. And tap into Tony Robbins or reach out to us and we can talk a little bit more about that. If you want to get some more information about Tony, about his experience and about what this is all about.
And his exquisite work.
Oh, it's remarkable. We definitely recommend watching a documentary on Netflix. It's called I Am Not Your Guru. Tony Robbins, I Am Not Your Guru. We'll put a link up on our Facebook page because it's so powerful. And in just 2 hours, it's based on a different weekend. Actually, it's a 6-day intensive workshop that he does called Date with Destiny. Highly, highly, highly recommend you check out. We've watched it twice.
Yeah, certainly.
Really, really powerful for us, and it gives you a real great idea of what it's all about.
Sure. And there's a lot of additional content that he has on the web. You can go on YouTube and just write Tony Robbins, and you will find a ton of information on there.
That's right. What's coming up?
UPW in March.
Unleash the Power is March 23rd through March 26th. It's coming up in Los Angeles. If you're not in the States or if you're on the East Coast, it's worth the travel. It's worth coming to Southern California and Los Angeles. It's at the convention center. If you can't make it though, check TonyRobbins.com. They have shows and experiences all over the world that you can tap into and check out. This one happens to be coming up in March. Ipek and I are on the crew, which basically means that we're volunteering. I don't know how many volunteers there are. However, once you've experienced any one of his seminars, you can then go back and give back and serve. And Ipek and I are real excited to donate and give 5 days to Tony Robbins research, the crew, and of course all of the people that are going to be in attendance there.
Yeah, and tap into that energy, like you said.
So powerful. We want to give a shout out to Cynthia Savage. Cynthia Savage is our gal at Tony Robbins Research. She is amazing.
She is.
She gives us all the hookups. She takes care of our groups. She takes care of anything and everything that we need to get tapped into Tony Robbins. She can also help with products. She can help with, obviously, tickets, travel. There's so much that she helps us do. We are forever grateful to her helping us out. We're going to put a link up to her personal page on our Facebook page so that you have a way that you can get in touch with Cynthia. If you're interested in getting tickets, Cynthia is your gal.
That's right. Yeah, we are excited to be in LA in March and hope that you can join us. And if you are planning on being there, please reach out to us, and we would love to meet our audience in person.
Thank you all for listening. If you haven't already, go to facebook.com/livingahealthylife.today. If you haven't been to Radio Anatolia, check out www.radioanatolia.us.
Radio Anatolia, shout out.
And we look forward to speaking with you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
With love and gratitude.
With love and gratitude. İpek Design is a collection of handmade accessories crafted with love and intent. I create each unique piece, setting forth an intention to bring positive energy to the recipient. As I design in my various collections, I charge my creations with positive affirmations for abundance, prosperity, and happiness. Please visit my website, www.ipek.design. You can also find me on Instagram at Ipek Designs. Remember, maintaining positive energy is the essence of true happiness.